on the rise and word of a second possible wave. Chief Pegg is back working with the emergency response team. Excuse me. He joins us live right now from Nathan Phillips Square. Good morning to you, Chief. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a loaded question here because I know you've got your hands full. So I want to begin with this. You know, Dr. Eileen de Villa has said it's not a matter of if, it is a when it comes to that second wave. So where do things stand right now with the city's plans?
I would say that we're in a good position from a planning perspective. So as you explained in the opener, we worked really hard on the response through the obviously through the initial phase, and the planning aspect of that never really stopped. So over the course of the summer, planning continued, and we're continuing to work really hard on all of those planning efforts. And I'm confident our plans are in place. The city's Emergency Operations Center has been operating continuously now for, if my memory is right, about 190 days. And we'll continue to both plan and respond as the situation evolves.
So, Chief, what are the priorities here? I know that the Premier has spoken with the mayors of the hotspots, including Mayor John Tory, about this possible, let's say, dialing back when it comes to the regionalized closures or whatnot. What do those conversations look like with the emergency response team? Is it looking at closures of possible businesses? Is it scaling back on various services?
Well, from a priority perspective, our priorities that we established at the very start of COVID-19 have never changed. And that is, or they are, first and foremost, to save lives and prevent the spread of COVID-19 in our city. And then secondly, to do everything we can do to prevent our healthcare system from becoming overwhelmed. So those are our top two priorities. They don't change. We're not sitting in conversation right now talking about specific closures. We're still very much, as we have been throughout, working with Dr. de Villa and Public Health, looking at the information that's coming forward, and of course taking the best information and the best advice that she can give us and translating that into operational plans. But what I will say is, as Mayor Tory's made very clear, nothing is off the table. We are prepared to do what is necessary in response to COVID-19, as we have been from the start.
Chief, are we prepared? I know during, months ago, there was major concern, of course, about proper PPE at various facilities. How are we when it comes to that?
PPE is, I would say, is stable, although very much still a global supply chain challenge exists. Of course, COVID-19 being a global issue, the demands on those critical pieces of personal protective equipment are literally being experienced across the globe. So we're planning, we're working, we're doing a really good job of managing PPE here in the city. Our team built one of the, if not the most comprehensive PPE management program that I've seen to date in response or as part of our first wave activity. It's in place today, and we're monitoring very closely and doing everything we can do to make sure that we have a sufficient stockpile. I'll actually be updating at the press conference this afternoon with respect to our current PPE inventory levels and where we stand as a city, but we're in pretty good place today.
Okay, great. And of course, CityNews will be at that conference a little bit later. Back to school is at top of mind for a lot of people, and it's not something that had come into play with the original plans when you were sitting at the helm there, Chief. Now that we have back to school, are there any specifics in your emergency plan that parents and educators should know about?
Well, as we heard on Monday at the afternoon press conference on Monday, Dr. de Villa and Public Health have provided very clear advice and guidance, of course, working in direct collaboration, the province, of course, working in direct collaboration with the school boards. But Dr. de Villa explained the Toronto Public Health response to any issues at the schools, and I think gave us a really clear indication and really clear process with respect to how those processes will happen, how parents will be engaged in the event of infections, how they would be managed. So I'm confident that we're in a good position there. That's something that's being watched literally every day. And Mel, as you said, the circumstance now is somewhat unique, or there are aspects of it that are unique to what we saw in the start. Obviously, the first wave, we were coming out of the winter months and heading into spring and summer, where people were just naturally moving outdoors. Of course, a little more challenging now because the reverse is true. We're coming into fall and heading into winter, where all of us are going to be tending to head indoors. So that will cause us to change our plans a little bit. We'll have to we'll have to evolve as the situation or respond as the situation evolves, but we're ready for that.
Indeed, a number of challenges ahead, but we appreciate you taking the time. I know you've got a lot to do. And City News, again, Chief Pegg will be there for the press conference this afternoon. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
6:35. Speaking of time, that's what it is right now. Frankie, good morning.
Thanks for that time. I hope you are on time today. Let's take a look at what we got going on. School day forecast as we're heading our way to another nice looking day where we have a little bit of a feeling of summer, still dressed in layers this morning, but through the afternoon, the kids